Um, Hello, my name is Arish Silva, and I'm here to welcome you all to this month's spiritual family night. So first, I'm going to share the walking meditation video, and if you've already seen it, feel free to start the meditation. But if you haven't, please watch the video, and once the video is over, you can then get up from your seats and start the walking meditation. Once you hear the bell, return back to your seats.
Mindful walking can be done at any place if you can find a convenient stretch where disturbances are minimal. Sandy walking paths are ideal and luxurious, but rare to find. You could walk on a long choir mat if you can find one. But even grass can be useful as a makeshift walking path for mindful walking. Walking barefoot is highly recommended and is most effective whenever possible. Let us first identify a path that we consider as suitable for mindful walking. The walking path chosen by you should allow about 30 paces of walking to and fro without much disturbance. Once the path has been identified, simply stand erect at one end of the path, facing the path. Stand as though a candle has been placed on the ground. Be very relaxed and be at ease. For a few moments, let us silently reflect and know that we are standing and that we are not sitting. Keep your gaze a few feet ahead of you with your eyes partially open. Your hands should be relaxed but clasped at the back or at the front. This is to avoid swinging your arms to and fro while walking. For a few moments, let us begin walking up and down the path. First, let us walk in a relaxed manner up and down before you actually commence mindful walking. After a few paces up and down, we could then commence walking mindfully. Silently, at a pace that is comfortable to you, with your eyes gently focused a few feet ahead of you, begin walking. Simply know that you are walking. You may note how your feet are shifting from left to right, how your weight shifts from one foot to the other. You may also note how your body is moving forward. Just be relaxed and keep walking mindfully. When you reach the end of your chosen path, just pause for a moment. Apply slowly, mindfully, silently, and very mindfully know that you are turning clockwise. You may meet with distractions. At that point, don't worry about those or get engaged with those distractions. Simply know that you are turning and that you are now about to start walking back the same way you started. Just as before, slowly, mindfully, and silently walk to and fro on the path. Be relaxed. Keep your gaze ahead of you. You may notice feeling the sand touching the soles of your feet, or your feet lifting and being placed. Thoughts and ideas may come and go. Just note them without getting involved or engaged with them. You may hear sounds or feel the breeze or feel the heat of the sun on your skin, or you may even see an exciting sight. Just note all of these and keep walking. Silently, slowly, mindfully is our motto. After a while, This period could range from 20 to 40 minutes. When you are about to come to the end of your mindful walking session, silently stand at the end of the path. Note that you have just completed a session of mindful walking. If you are next going to do a session of mindful sitting, the mindful walking would serve as an ideal warm-up for your mindful sitting. In which case, please carry your mindfulness with you to the mindful sitting session, so that your mindfulness will remain uninterrupted. If not, very mindfully return to your scheduled activity, again keeping your mindfulness intact. We hope you will continue to enjoy your mindful walking sessions.
You can keep your head straight, neck straight, shoulders in a relaxed position, and your arms resting on your lap or maybe on the table. And sitting in a comfortable position. You can keep some attention within your posture. Now we are not walking, we are not standing, we are not lying down, but we are comfortably sitting. So we can gently close our eyes. At this moment, if your mind wanders towards the past incident, don't give any value to them. Don't give any importance to them. They are merely memories. So just discard them. Just neglect them. Come back to yourself. So right now, we are trying to enjoy the present moment. You don't worry about the past. You are not regretting about the past. Similarly, if your mind wanders towards the future, what's going to happen, what are the expectations, planning, designing, whatever it is, don't encourage that. Rather, come back to yourself. At this moment, how I am feeling in this body. This is a very ordinary, direct experience, but we are giving a lot of prominence to this direct experience. We are not promoting any proliferation, not promoting any planning right now. Rather, we are trying to appreciate this simplicity. Right now, the eyes are closed. And I am naturally breathing. Lips are touching each other. Tongue at its root, not making any effort. And I am not thinking about any problem as such. So there are no wrinkles on your forehead or on your eyebrows. The whole face, all facial tissues, muscles are quite relaxed. Probably you may have a slight smile, enjoying each moment. We are privileged to live peacefully. And my neck is also straight. There is no any stiffness or hardness, tightness. Shoulders in a very relaxed position, not holding them purposely, effortfully. Arms are resting, keeping the back straight, but not stiff, not rigid, and allowing the body to breathe naturally. Can feel the abdominal movement. As we breathing in, abdomen comes forward. As we breathe out, abdomen comes back, falling. And the buttocks are somewhat pressured. Our weight of the upper half of the body is concentrated there. So we can feel some pressure, weight at our buttocks. Upper legs are relaxed. Lower legs, calf muscles are relaxed. And certain parts of the soles touching the ground. We are comfortably sitting. If your mind wanders either to the past or future, don't worry about it. Recognize it and gently take it back. Sympathize to yourself. Compassionate to yourself. Like taming a child. So we are trying to tame the mind, educating the mind, teaching the mind. So what am I feeling in the present moment? If there are various other thoughts in the mind, you can recognize them, and for the moment you can keep them aside. Bring your full attention to the body. What you really feel. If you are able to establish mindfulness, probably you can feel the breathing. Keeping your attention at the nostril, recognize, is it the in-breath or the out-breath? So when you are recognizing in-breath, you can note it as in. When you recognize out-breath, you can note it as out. Anyway, if you are confident and your mind has fairly restrained, it's not necessary to note. You can simply be aware with a silent mind. But if you feel that still you need to note, you can do so, which is quite helpful for a beginner. So have an open mind. We are not trying to control breathing. We are allow breathing to happen as the body likes. Breathing in, energizing the whole body. Breathing out, releasing all the tensions. Breathing in, energizing the whole body. Breathing out, releasing all the tensions. Breathing in, feeling happy. Breathing out, feeling relaxed. You can take a deep breath, hold it for a while, and then release, and settle into the moment. Again, allow natural breathing. If you feel sleepy, you can keep your eyes still open. Now we are trying to see more subtle details of the breath. See whether you can recognize little subtle aspects of the breath. When compared with the previous in-breath, is the present in-breath long or short? Compared with the previous out-breath, is the present out-breath long or short? Just do a kind of an inquiry. How you really know whether it is in-breath or out-breath? So what are the characteristics? Just try to recognize these differences. Maybe the in-breath may be cool, out-breath may be warm. See whether you can recognize those differences. And as your mindfulness further refine, you can recognize various stages of in-breath, various stages of out-breath. In-breath begins very slightly, gradually, and it comes to its middle region where we can feel it properly. Then it starts to fade away, comes to the end. Then probably you may feel a little gap. Similarly, the out-breath also starts very smoothly and comes to its middle region where we can feel it further and ultimately fades away and end. There are again a little gap just before the beginning of next in-breath. So it's a kind of a cycle. See whether you can comprehend the whole cycle, whole breathing cycle. When you are recognizing the beginning, you don't worry about the middle or the end or the out-breath. When you are recognizing the middle of the in-breath, you don't worry about the beginning or the end of the in-breath. When you are recognizing the end, you don't worry about the beginning or the middle of the in-breath. Similarly, we are well focused, paying close attention with a balanced mind, not in a hurry, not in a rush, allowing breathing to happen as it like. Trying to see the beginning, the middle, the end, the gap. With a silent mind. If there are thoughts coming, we can simply ignore them. I don't need to be responsible for them. I don't need to consider them as my thoughts. They are merely thoughts. I can simply come back to breath. I have a choice. enjoying each part of the breath. Keeping close attention. Okay, I think we can spend a couple of minutes discussing about our experience, sharing our experience. Anyone who like to share their experiences? Or probably you can write your maybe kind of report also, that is also possible. Kind of sharing your experiences in a formal manner, that is also possible. Actually, I thought of giving some instructions on writing a report. So basically we call it as kind of an interview report, where we are preparing to discuss with the teacher once we went through our meditation session. So basically we include three parts in it. One item is related to the mindful walking. So how you spend your time in mindful walking, and what are the obstacles you come through, and how you have overcome them, and what are your experiences. So there is a primary object. Say for example, if you are simply starting with your attention while keeping your left leg and then right leg, and then you are doing a noting as left right, so then we can say that is my primary object. Or else you can say that if you are doing lifting moving or lifting placing, that as your primary object. Or if you are simply keeping your attention only to the movement of the leg, touching sensations of the leg, so then you need to mention that I'm not doing any kind of labeling or noting. Now I am capable of doing it with a silent mind. So likewise, you can describe a little bit what you have experienced during your walking session. So that is actually one part of the report. And then you are starting your mindful sitting. So there also you can explain what is your primary object. If it is breathing, say like we did today, so we are trying to keep our attention on breathing, mindful breathing. So you can mention that anapanasati or mindful breathing is my primary object. So if you are keeping abdominal movement as your primary object, that is the rising and falling, you can mention that as your primary object. Or else, I mean, once you continue, then suppose your main object is observation of various element characteristics. So that also you can mention. Or else you can mention if you are doing Vedananupassana, that is the awareness on various feelings, you can mention that. So after mentioning that, actually you need to explain your own experience. It is not kind of imagination, rather what you really feel. So what are the various aspects that you are able to comprehend during your observation, during your sitting session? That also you need to mention. And if there are any obstacles you come through, that also has to be mentioned, and how you have overcome them, that also has to be mentioned. So this is the second part of the report. And then thirdly, you have to mention how you spend time during the daily activities, because you know it is not this practice limited to mindful walking and mindful sitting. Rather, you need to try your best to take this practice to your daily activities. Then only you can get more benefits. Say, for example, while eating, are you able to maintain mindfulness? While having a bath, were you able to maintain mindfulness? Say, if you are riding a bicycle, were you able to maintain mindfulness? While, say, talking with another person, are you able to maintain mindfulness? While you are engaging in daily course, are you able to maintain mindfulness? So likewise, you have some kind of an intention, sort of a motivation to establish mindfulness as much as possible during the daily activities. So that also has to be little explained, so that the other person will understand, okay, you are diligently trying to practice. So these three parts actually has to be included in a report. So sometimes we call it as kind of an interview report, or in Sinhala we call it as Kamatahan Varta, kind of a report on your maintaining of the primary object. So such a report actually help us to engage it in a more formal manner. Then actually we are not spending time in a careless manner. Rather, we are having something to do. We have to report what we did. We have to report what we have experienced. So therefore, we do it a little more, in a way, little seriously. So that is actually necessary at the beginning. But later, actually, you can move forward and relax yourself, and there are further progressive events. So this actually helps even for another person to take a kind of an example. So another person who listen to this kind of a report get encouraged, because they also will understand, okay, this is a possible thing. So there's a kind of a progressive representation in the different reports. Say, for example, during the last week, if you present a report, and if you are reporting today, so there may be an improvement. So you yourself can assess your progress. So if you attend to any formal retreats, meditation retreats, so presenting your progress like this using a report is very useful, and sometimes it is compulsory, so that everybody is doing it properly. Okay, if there is anyone who like to share their experiences, if not, I like to invite Arosh to start with.
So for sorry, my mic was bugging out. So while I was like meditating, I actually like had like a lot of trouble to actually like close my eyes, because like I've been on my like looking at a screen for a while, and then like all that light went into my eyes, and it just like felt like it was really hard for me to close my eyes. And like as you mentioned a little bit before, that was like my primary objective for the thing. But then like after about five-ish minutes, I started like able to like focus and just like regain control. And then like afterwards, I was able to like calm myself down and be able to go into a meditative state afterwards.
Yeah, so sometimes like this, certain say initial troubles might arise. So I mean, you yourself learning how to overcome them, and various techniques that you can use to overcome those are quite helpful, because we ourselves have our own techniques, ways and means to overcome these initial troubles. And once we are in the track, then we know, okay, I was able to handle this. Even on the next time, similar thing happens, then you know, I mean, this is the way I have handled that on the other day. So it's a matter of applying those techniques again, then I can actually continue without any issue. So likewise, it's interesting to have our own kind of ways and means to continue our practice, and useful, and someone else also can learn from that. I mean, when you are sharing your experiences like that, so others also might have the same similar problem. Probably they also get some insight, okay, this way he has handled it, so I myself can handle it in a similar manner. So it's quite helpful to share these kinds of experiences. Yeah. Anyone else who like to share their experiences? Shalika, how about you? So now Sayuru is there. Yeah, go ahead, Sayuru. Then I'll later give Shalika.
In the mindful walking,
Yeah.
the only problems I had was wrong speed and loss of balance.
Mm-hmm. So what did you mean by wrong speed?
Yeah, going too fast.
I see.
Walking too fast.
So you can allow the body to walk as it like. So that is the best thing, because the body knows what would be the most convenient speed. So simply like, say you are watching like a third person, like an outsider, allowing the body to walk as it like. So it's a kind of a different perspective that we are trying to get during our practice. Say, for example, during the mindful breathing, So we take such perspective, say we allow the body to breathe, and we, like an outsider, start to watch, like to observe. So similarly, we allow the body to walk, and we, like an outsider, we simply watch. So then body actually by itself recognize the most convenient speed. So that is the best way of doing it. So at the beginning also, you don't need to think too much about, okay, I'm now doing mindful walking. Rather, you simply enjoy some walking. I mean, you are without thinking that establishing mindfulness. So say about 5 minutes, you can do so. And after that, carefully, you are simply trying to establish mindfulness when your left foot is touching the ground, when your right foot is touching the ground. So that also you are doing in a more relaxed manner. So then body recognize slowly, okay, this is the most convenient speed. So anyway, I mean, when you are continuing your practice, you may learn these fine points, how to adjust your speed properly. So during the latter session of the, I mean, if you are walking, during your walking, are you able to overcome the problem, or throughout the session you got the problem?
I was able to overcome it.
Good. Yeah. How about sitting?
For sitting meditation, at first my mind ran only a little, and I was able to bring it back over and over again. But in the end, it ran to one place. I'm not exactly sure where, but I wasn't able to bring it back.
I see. So it was there. I mean, are you aware that it was at some other place?
After I finished, not sure.
Because the point is, I mean, if you know that it is remaining at some other place, so that is also being mindful. You know, for mindfulness, it is true that we are selecting a primary object. But when you are sort of confident, you can even keep mind at another place, not necessarily at a primary object, but still you can mindful. You can be mindful even when the mind is staying at another object, because mindfulness doesn't limit to only a selected object. Rather, you can maintain your attention at any place. So if you know very well, okay, it is not referring the breathing or rising and falling, whatever it is, but right now mind is, say, thinking about something, but you are very well know about it. You are very well aware. Under your supervision, mind is thinking. So then actually you are mindful. There is no major harm actually. Later, once you know that, I mean, it is better to return back to the primary object, then you can return back. Yeah. Yeah, thank
And
you,
then,
Sairu. Yeah, go ahead, please.
the third section.
Yeah. Third session in the sense?
How I spend my day in it.
Yes.
Sometimes I purposely go into daydreams.
Mm-hmm.
But
During the daytime, daydreams. So that is why sometimes we call as mental proliferation in little say advanced terms, where our mind likes to involve in thinking. Have you noticed that,
daydreams and
Sairu?
past memories.
Yes. That's the point. Yeah. So it likes to, rather than being in the present moment, mind likes to enjoy those daydreaming. Mind likes to enjoy in the past memories. So that we need to recognize. So it is not something that we are willfully doing, purposely doing, but mind has such tendency. So once you recognize it, probably you can avoid it. You can slowly bring your attention back to yourself. So recognizing that my mind likes this kind of an activity is something important. Yes. Okay, I think now I can come back to Shalika. How about you?
Teruvan Sarnai Bhante. I would like to share my sitting meditation. I was actually paying attention to my, expansion and contraction of my abdominal. So I was paying attention to that, and during that time, sometimes my attention goes to my breathing as well. So it was like kind of going back and forth to my nostrils and again back abdominal. So and then I start focusing back again to my abdominal, and then then it started settling, and I started feeling like it's lesser and lesser, like the noticing what I can notice. And after a certain time, like I felt like everything kind of like a together, basically I'm kind of a feeling the breath happening as well as my abdominal, like kind of like a flux, everything together, kind of like an experience. And then sometimes I felt like my teeth are like a pressing my upper teeth and the bottom teeth are like pressing each other, like a kind of a pressure also I felt. Kind of like I felt kind of seeing everything as like a kind of a third person. That's what I felt. It is, but I was so relaxed, and my body was relaxed, my mind was relaxed, and I felt that like that feeling to myself. That was the experience, like kind of like seeing everything together as like a third person.
Yeah, so that is what I tried to explain during the walking session. So related to the walking sessions, that we are allowing the body to walk freely, and then we are watching it like a third person, like an outsider. Similarly, while we are breathing, we do the same thing. We allow the body to breathe as it like, and we watch it like an outsider. So as you have mentioned, so when we are sort of competent in doing this, so we can allow everything to happen. We like an outsider, we can take that watching, that perspective, simply watching. That is where, I mean, Buddha mentioned, Kaye Kayanupassī vihirati, Vedanasu Vedananupassī vihirati, Chitte Chittanupassī vihirati. So this is the explanation that Buddha gives, how we can have that third person's view, an outsider's perspective about our own body, about our own breathing, about our various mental activities, etc. Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, I can see our old friend Priyanta is in the background. Priyanta, would you like to share your experience?
Finally.
I think my daughter Siumi wants to say something.
Fine.
So
the whole thing was pretty relaxing. I noticed that my body wasn't moving at all. And then once I realized that, I had the sudden urge to move, but that's okay. And I also had a little bit of a problem with keeping my thoughts straight. Like I would one time just be focusing on my breathing, and then the next second I should search this up later, and then it's kind of just going everywhere, and it's kind of hard to realize that your thoughts are stranding, but overall it was pretty relaxing.
Yeah, quite interesting. So if you know that what the mind is doing, so at that time, okay, my mind is searching for something. My mind has this kind of a tendency, so it is like to get distracted. But you are like say for example, when you are trying to skip your homework, like your father watching you. now you are watching your own mind, how it is now trying to skip the main meditation object, main mindfulness object, and trying to do something else. So it's quite interesting. Our mind is also like a kid. Our mind is also like a child. So even though we want to keep it on a selected object, so it doesn't like to behave. Rather, it likes to jump to here and there. So it is interesting to see this behaving in ourselves. And it helps to recognize these behaviors and to slowly bringing our attention to the necessary places or necessary area, the selected area. Yeah.
So as long as you're aware of what's happening, it's okay.
Yes. So I mean, once you are aware that what is happening, then you have a choice. You are not a victim of the activity. Rather, you have a choice. Okay, is it possible to return back to the primary object? Say, for example, at the moment, assume that you are doing mindful sitting, and you have selected breathing as your main focus. But at the same time, you have noticed now mind is not focused on that. Rather, it has shifted to something else.
Yeah.
Now you have a choice. Okay, you have noticed that mind has shifted. So possibly I can return back to breath. So you can slowly return back to breathing, and again you can enjoy breathing. So likewise, I mean, it's typically what happens is we unknowingly become a victim of that shifting. So that is what we need to avoid. If we can avoid that and we are aware that mind has shifted to something else, then slowly we can bring our attention back to the breathing. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for sharing your experiences. I am experiencing a little heavy rain, by the way, so probably you can hear the sound. Sorry about that. So anyone else who like to share their experiences? If not, we can wind up the session.
Minhas, I have a question about one of the instructions.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
You asked Swami Minhas to observe whether the current in breath is shorter or longer compared to the previous one. And I found it very difficult to do. So maybe I was afraid to try to do that, but I haven't done that before, comparing the one in breath to a previous one. How should I do that? Can you give some advice?
I'm sorry, Chandra Mahatya, I couldn't hear it properly. I'm getting some noise from outside. Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So it was about the instruction to observe whether the in-breath is shorter or longer compared to the previous in-breath. And I found it very difficult to do. So can you give some advice about how to go about it?
Right. Now I understood. Okay. Basically, I mean, it is not, so it's kind of with some memory, you can remember, okay, I mean, there is actually while we are engaged in mindful breathing, so we get this kind of a comparative feeling. So, I mean, there were several breaths passed, went through, and now I am experiencing a little short breath. Previous breaths comparatively somewhat longer, but now it has shifted from long breath to short breath. Now you notice this shift. Or the other side also can happen. Previously there were short breaths, but now it appears like the present breath is somewhat longer. I'm experiencing it for a long time. Just to give an example, assume that there were several breaths which were very much like went through for 5 seconds. But now it is almost like 2 seconds. Now you can have a little comparative understanding. Okay, now there is a kind of a change. Previously they were long, but now I'm feeling them like short. I mean, sometimes it is unnoticeable. I mean, you can immediately go to the recognizing of various phases, whether it is the beginning, the middle, the end. If you can do that successfully, I mean, there is no harm in omitting that previous part. So as what I'm trying to tell is I mean, if you can recognize whether I'm experiencing the beginning of the in-breath, middle of the in-breath, end of the in-breath. So if you can do that successfully, you don't need to worry about not being able to recognize whether it is long or short. Hope you got the point.
I think I'm getting it somewhat. As far as it is just the breath, I am fine. But comparing in-breaths to in-breaths or out-breaths to out-breaths, current and the previous ones, that I found it a little hard, but I think I will try. I will try. I was afraid to try because I thought I would end up analyzing it too much and trying to try to remember exactly how the previous in-breath was. So I was a little confused at that point. But I will give it a try.
Yeah, so actually, in order to do this, we need to keep the mind very, well focused and not thinking about anything else. And mind is fairly silent, and that silent mind can get a kind of feeling, kind of say a notice that okay, there is a slight change has happened in the breathing pattern, so something like that. So it's a kind of a silent observation is the one helping us to recognize these subtle changes.
Thank you, Buhum Pinsamin Hase.
Yeah, everyone's survey. So maybe Shalika, then we can wind up the session.
Arosh, can you remind me our next clarity of mind young adult session?
Okay. So for the new participants, if they're interested in getting like reminders on future sessions, there should be a link in the chat where you could register yourself. And for our next session, which is going to be the clarity of mind for young adults, it will be held on August 27th, which is also Friday at 9 p.m. EST. Thank you, Bhante, for your time spent with us, guiding us through the meditation. And thank you all for participating in today's session, and have a great weekend. Everyone start night.
Thank you, Bhante. Therwan Saranai.
Yeah, everyone's online. Everyone's online.
Everyone, suddenly I saw another one.
Yeah, everyone's online.